Hello. Sorry for starting late. I did post on the Discord, but I should start at everyoneing when I do it. I get concerned. I don't like spamming people with stuff, but I feel that I also am not letting people know the most effectively. But yes, I'm so sorry, Kat. I'm so sorry you've been waiting. I've missed you as well. Thank you guys for letting me do some, I don't know, I had some chores. I had to fold some laundry, do some things. Because, you know, my brain decided to be a little frustrating today. So I had a little bit of a morning meltdown, and so I've been trying to keep it very nice and chill for the day. But in my chillness, I also didn't get as much done as I wanted to, so I needed a minute. But we're here. We're ready to cross stitch. We're ready to just keep things nice and chill. You also had a morning meltdown, bestie. Bestie meltdown, buddy. Are you feeling better at least? I don't know. It's up and down. I do think I am feeling better. I vocalized my feelings to Liam in the morning, and I went on a big forest adventure with Shadow, and so I feel like that helped. The anxious stomach knot is loosened, shall we say. I don't know if we're out of the woods yet, but it has been loosened, and that's really all I can ask of it some days. But yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that, though. It's never fun. To be fair, I've not had a moment in a while. I think I was gearing, I don't know. Liam said he sensed it last night, sort of brewing. But yeah, our trash was picked up this morning, and something, oh no. Oh, that's the worst. I had to rebag everything. It's covered in ants. My GFO's working, and then the person went, nope. It's one of those things where it just like compounds, where you're like, I'm already fucked off to start my day, and then the universe says, oh, are you sure? And it like tests you a little, like a few more times, and you just go, listen, this is unacceptable. Yeah, I've noticed, so, you know, the more I journey, we've talked about this, where, you know, and my friend joked about it with me. I got to work, and I was like, oh no, I don't need espresso. Or, yeah, that's true. That's true. Thank God it's Friday, eh? Thank God you get to finish the day early, go home, chill out, start the weekend, not worry about it. But yeah, no, it's not the preferred experience. That's for sure. I feel like we've talked about before, and I've joked about it with my friend, because she recently she's made the discovery through getting autism diagnoses and support for her son, that she's realizing the tism traits in herself. And the more we talk and stuff, and she goes, okay, Tasha, I think you two are also a little neurospicy. And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And it definitely, I feel like it was manifesting itself today. It was one of those where I woke up and my hair felt so greasy that if I didn't like have a shower, I was gonna jump out of my skin. Oh yeah, possibly. I never thought about that, but I probably should. Just out of my own curiosity, I think. But yeah, so I was really struggling with that. So luckily I had a shower. Shadow was being very patient with me today, because usually he's on a full-blown whiny meltdown. Not a huge meltdown, but he whines until we like go for our morning W. But I was going through it. I needed to shower. I needed to like take a minute to compose myself. And so he was still whining, but like very quietly. And I've appreciated it. I think he knew I was going through it. So, hi Aurora, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes, happy Friday indeed. You know, we're just getting through the day. Yeah. I had a bit of a morning. I'm feeling better now. But yeah, I've also noticed, so this thing, it's happened a few times, but I've noticed that when I am in a really anxious headspace, I just hyper focus on how quote unquote dirty the house is, even though I know logically it has like your standard level of like lived in dirt and dust. But like, for instance, Liam hoovered yesterday and I really appreciated it. But then there were like, you know, when somebody does a chore and their version of done is different than your version of done. So he did it and I'm like, that's great. But in my brain, I'm like, okay, but you didn't do this, but you didn't do this, but you didn't do this. But then that's my own like version of that. And so the option is either like, I accept that it is an acceptable level of clean, but it's not my acceptable level of clean, or I redo it. So there were certain little bits that like, I just like swept up or whatever. But there was other things that I was like, okay, like I need to, exactly, right? And just like it missed like an understanding of like, okay, when you do this, like when this is what it means, right? Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it is, and that's the thing too. And because we don't daily clean in terms of like hoovering and stuff like that, to me, I was wanting a deep clean, right? And so, or even to like, and I guess to be fair though, it also could be that it was like a literal interpretation. It's like, we need to hoover. And I'm like, yeah, we need to hoover. But in my brain, what I do is then I go over and I wipe down the sofa and I wipe down the blankets and I wipe down all the things and the countertops to get all of the crumbs and stuff that would end up on the floor when you go to wipe them down, and then I hoover. So I think I do a lot more prep, but at face value, hoover means to hoover or to vacuum. And like that's it, right? But in my brain, there's so many more steps than just vacuuming. Exactly. So yeah. And so it was one of those where I had to just be like, there's dust in the corner of the bathroom. And I just got so hyper focused on it and was getting quite agitated. And then I kind of needed to be like, okay, like, you know, so I did eventually, but it was one of those where like, that's all I could think about. And I was like, no, like we need to do other things, which I guess in a way is helpful when you have a dog, because they get you out of that. Because it's like, I had to take him for a walk. Like I had to go leave the house with him. I couldn't like have a shower and clean the entire house before we did that, because that would be a problem. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm feeling much better now. I made some realizations as well, which was quite interesting. Because last night, because obviously if you guys know, like my parents and my brother and his girlfriend and my aunt are all coming up this week. So my brother and his girlfriend are getting here tomorrow. And so last night, you know, because everyone's planning and packing and stuff, my brother sent all of these ideas of like where him and his girlfriend want to go exploring and stuff. And initially, I think I was not like taken aback, but I don't know, the thought of like navigating these new places in London that I don't really have a lot of experience doing, I'm like, I don't know, I'm not sure. But then I sort of like took a step back and reflected on like, okay, why am I so agitated about the fact that they want to take our, you know, downtime days to go do other things? They're only here for a week, so they obviously want to make the most out of their trip. And I think this has happened to me a few times, and again, it's more, I think, a reflection on myself and what something maybe I need to continue to work on, is that people are coming to visit, but they want to do all of this like touristy stuff and want to go and be go and busy and visiting, or busy doing stuff. And then I'm like, okay, but where is the time for you to visit with me? And like, when can I show you my life and like my day-to-day experiences? And so I think what it really was, hi Kay, good morning. I think what it really was, when I really like thought about it and distilled down what was happening, is that I was almost like battling this sense of rejection, which again is not anyone in my family's goal. But I think what had happened is I was like, oh, like I think I had an assumption that like we would go on big forest adventures and I would point out like, you know, where the fox in the forest lives and like all the cool plants and stuff I found and all this kind of stuff. And so then when they're like, okay, so on these off days we want to go here and do this and do that, I'm like, oh, you don't want to spend time with me. But I know that's not true. But I think because I was already in that sort of headspace. Do you know what I mean? So I was just kind of reflecting on like, okay, why is this triggering me so much? It shouldn't be that big of a problem if they want to go on and like if they want to go to this particular museum or whatever. You know what I mean? So that was interesting. So I had some realizations today, which was interesting. And I think obviously like being able to talk about it helped. So I was able to be like, oh, okay, this is what I think is happening. Just to be able to be like, I know logically this is not true. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing, like your brain sometimes wants to play tricks on you. Yeah, like exactly. And your brain wants to play tricks on you and like will read into shit that like really doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, that's not relevant. That doesn't actually make sense. That's not actually the situation at hand. But this like little sinister mental illness part of your brain is like, yeah, but what if you suck? And you're like, wow, okay, cool. Now I have to think about that. You know what I mean? But again, logically, you know that's not the case. But so yeah, that was very interesting. It was an interesting realization. But yeah, Exactly. And that's the thing, like, I know that my family are that first path where they love doing lots of activities and they love, you know, basically jam-packing their holiday with as much as they want, which makes sense to me. Yeah, again, so that's the thing, like, I know these things, so I don't know why it's bringing up this sort of, like, judgmental sort of reflection on myself. When, yeah, this is what my family likes to do. They like to overload themselves with all these activities and do all these different things. And also, too, like, not being funny, there's no guarantee that any of these things are going to happen because they're like, oh, yeah, the day after we arrive, we want to go on, like, a 45-minute hike and then go explore this castle in, like, the nearby town. And I'm like, go right ahead. But I have to go pick up our parents and stuff. So, again, that doesn't even directly affect me. But again, so they might be too tired or jet lagged. I don't know. Exactly. The amygdala is not logical. And that's one of the things, like, when I still have to finish this book, but I'm like, okay, I want to, yeah, like the fact that, like, you know, people always say, like, follow your mind and not your heart, or, like, you know, your brain is more logical than your heart or your gut or whatever. But it's like, no, the brain does a lot of weird things to try to protect you, but it actually sometimes is to your own detriment. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I remember reading that and being like, yeah, brains can be stupid sometimes. Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah, and that's the thing. And I also think, again, too, though, because again, with my anticipatory anxiety and my, like, need to sort of have a plan and know what's going on day to day, that uncertainty of them, like, we're gonna go do this thing, oh, but we might not actually do this thing, but maybe we will, is also, like, a thing that I have to, like, sit in and accept, like, okay, I have to figure out what's going on in my life, and then whatever they're doing, they can figure it out, right? But yeah, it's just, yeah, it's interesting. And then even too, again, it was like a dumb thing. Like, so then the venue for the reception messaged me being like, oh, can you give me a call? And I'm like, oh, balls. Like, you know, I'm already in that headspace, but it was fine. They were just wondering if we could come and set up on the day a bit later, which didn't matter. But you know, in those things, like, it's always that thing where they're like, oh, I need you to call me. And I'm like, uh-oh. It's like the we need to talk sentence. So, like, don't say that to an anxious person. Luckily, like I said, it was fine, but yeah. An annoying thing is, like I said, we went to the forest twice this week. And I told you how the neighbor, our neighbor has a dog. And they're looking for a dog walker. And I run into a dog walker at the forest all the time. And so I was like, oh yeah, like, I'll run into this person and I'll ask them, like, for their contact information and, like, look at me being a good neighbor. I've gone twice this week and have not run into her. Of course, now that I actually want to see her, No, I don't know where she is. Yeah, no, absolutely. That would be the absolute worst. I know, right? How rude. Of course. It's typical. It's like, oh, I would like to do this thing for this person. And then the universe was like, ha. But it's fine. I did see, I think her son, she has a college-age son and a son in high school or secondary school who's currently doing his, like, GCSEs, which I guess is, like, I don't know if it's the equivalent of, what's the one in the US that everyone has to take? There's, like, a standardized test that everyone has to take. It's like that, but not like that. I don't know. The UK education system still baffles me. But anyway, so he's in his, like, exams week, essentially. So I saw him take their dog for a walk. Yeah, right? Yeah, SATs. That's what it is. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, it'd be a little bit of a trek, wouldn't it, Kay? To be fair, it would be perfect. It would actually be fabulous if you could just jump in your teleportation device and, you know, come over here and walk the dog. That would be fabulous. I never took it. Did the state one. Okay. Oh, interesting. So the SATs are like, if you wanted to apply for schools in other states, you sort of needed that. It was like a baseline standard, like across the country sort of thing. Yeah, I never really know. The only thing I remember is, like, obviously in, like, high school teen movies that are, like, set in high school, sometimes, like, a big plot point is, like, the SATs and what they got on the SATs and prepping for the SATs and... Okay. Countrywide, and you did the one that was specific to your state. Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. But yeah. I know, wasn't it? There was a movie in the 2000s called The Perfect Score that starred pre-Marvel canon Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson, where they were like a gang of misfits that got together to plan to steal the SAT scores from their high school so they could, like, get into their schools of choice. You did both because you were an overachiever. Fair. When you have the flu, like, if you're, your brain must have been, like, mush, but obviously you had either studied or there was, like, an innate recall in your subconscious that was able to just push through all of that. Yeah, there was never, or at least for me, like, there isn't any, there's standardized testing, in a couple different grades, but there isn't, like, one that's, like, a standardized test to help place you in post-secondary education. That's not something that exists in Canada that I'm aware of. So we had, like... I think they weren't even, like, countrywide. There was, like, provincial-wide testing, but the way it was always explained to us is it was kind of like you would do these tests and it was more of a reflection on, like, how the curriculum was structured and if we were all able to, like, perform at a certain baseline across the province, and then if we weren't or we dipped in certain areas, I think it was to inform, like, the changes they would make to future curriculums and stuff like that. That was always the way it was explained to us. And so it was always really nice because then it was like, oh, it doesn't matter if we pass or fail this test, because I used to say to, like, my friends, I'm like, well, if we fail it, that's just a reflection on how poorly the teacher is teaching us. But then the teachers would be sneaky, and so we had, like, it was like a maths-based testing. So I think we had them in grade 3 and 6. And so there was like this standard maths testing. And so I would be like, yeah, like this is a standard thing. If we get it wrong, then like it's not a reflection on us, it's a reflection on our teacher. But then what the teachers would do, because they were sneaky, is they would then grade the EQ, like the standardized math testing separately, and that would go towards our grade. So we had one set of tests that were going to go off to the country to be like in the province to be evaluated. And then the other copy was what the teachers were going to use to actually inform our math grade, which I thought was very rude. Because I was like, so that, I guess in a way it's like an incentive to do well. But I was kind of like, yeah, but if I fail this, that's still, you know, not technically a reflection on me. That's the way I justified it. I passed and stuff, but I was still like, that seems very cheeky. Because then it puts more pressure on you. Because if you're going into this test and you're like, oh, whatever, like, if I fail, it doesn't matter. And then it's like, no, actually, the teacher's going to grade you. You're like, damn, now the stakes are higher. I was above average in all of them except for English. It was like a 28 or something. I don't understand the numbers. Yeah. I feel like it was a 32. And oh, interesting. Yeah. Oh, I remember it was so weird. I think I was in my last year of high school. And so when we were in primary school, we got letter grades. So we got, you know, A, B, C. I think you got D. And then an E, which was like failing. So I don't think we ever gave Fs. I think E was like the hardest one, that whatever. And then when we got to high school, it then changed to percentages, like out of 100. So then you got a number. But then I think in like my last year of high school, they changed it. And so they changed it so that high schools got letter grades. So if I looked at my like report card or like my like transcript through the 4 years, it's percentages, and then the last year is like letters. And so it looks really bizarre, and it's also like, okay, well, what does this mean? Because letters are ranges, whereas numbers are like the specific number. Oof, then we start on standardized testing in public schools and the pressure it puts on. Yeah, 100%. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're like, no, I don't. The soapbox is closed. I'm like, if you ever feel like, you know, creating a TED Talk for us to all be in attendance for, you let me know. I almost failed my last math class because oh yeah. Trig is the stupidest math and you can fight me on it. Yeah. Oh, this was a math team. Oh no. That's frustrating when it's like everyone knows it and you're like, no, I don't understand. And they're like, I don't understand how you don't understand. And you're like, cool, that's not helpful. Yeah. No, I didn't enjoy math when I was a senior. Yeah. That is awkward. I remember being that asshole in math class where the teacher was teaching us something and I didn't understand it and being like, when am I going to use this in real life? Why does this matter? I think this is stupid. Why are you teaching me? And I remember saying that to my mom and she was like, well, that's not fair. Like, the teacher's, you know, supposed to teach a curriculum. It's not his fault that he's teaching you something that you don't think you'll ever apply in your life. And I'm like, yeah, but still. I remember too, because like I never was a big, again, I never liked math, still don't care for math. Literally when like numbers start popping up, I think my brain just literally glazes over. Like I like honestly, like people be like, oh yeah, what's this times this? And my brain will just shut off before they have a chance to finish the equation because I'm like, I'm already clocked out. I'm already not participating in this. But one of the things I really loved growing up was music, and like I learned how to play the piano and stuff like that. And so one of the ways people used to try to convince me that math was fun is they were like, oh, well, you know, you use math in music and music is just math. And I used to always say to them, like, don't suck the fun out of my favorite thing. I was like, no, I love music. And if you turn around and tell me music is just like, is math, I'm like, no, then it's going to make me not love math. It's going to make me not like music. Your plan is going to backfire. It doesn't work that way. So I'm wondering if, well, I know we have less time today, but I'm wondering if we work our butts off, if we can get most of this done and we can like finish the page. Oh, Dildo. Hi. What a name. How are you today? What a puntastic name. I hope you're having a good day. Happy Friday. I appreciate the follow as well. Thank you so much. I think we're a few away from our goal now. I think I set a target of 330 and we're at 327, which is cool. Nice to meet you, Dill. I remember when it took me such a long time to realize that the little brother in Rugrats was named Dill because his full name was then Dill Pickle. And I feel like as a child, when you first watch Rugrats, you don't make those connections. And then when you're like an actual like preteen, you're like, oh, Dill Pickle. I get it. I remember being terrified of that Rugrats movie. The one where like after Dill is born and they get trapped in the jungle. And there's this really intense scene that used to always like make me really upset. When Dill is just like being a baby. He's innocent in all this. I think he's being a little shit. But then like Tommy Pickles has like this banana flavored baby food that Dill loves. And at one point it's like pouring rain and thunder and lightning. And he picks up the banana baby food and goes to pour it all over Dill in like an act of defiance and like F you. And then he like can't bring himself to do it. And it's just the most dramatic and intense thing, like, for a child to be looking at. I remember being so upset when that scene was on. But then there were other parts that were epic, that were, like, Angelica Pickles and Cynthia singing One Way or Another in the jungle. That was a classic. But yeah, that was, I still have, I've not watched that movie in years, but I still, like, you know, when you have certain scenes in films that just, like, stick with you. The other one that I feel like had a really scary scene growing up was The Brave Little Toaster. That's an underrated classic, but also it's kind of terrifying in certain scenes. I'm like, why are some kids' movies, like, absolutely traumatizing? Yeah, Brave Little Toaster, I think because isn't it like Blanky? There's like an electric Blanky in there that's like the baby, and I think something almost happens to him and it's absolutely traumatic. Oh, damn it. Yeah, okay, so this is not just Tasha being a little wuss. This is like, you know, collective, you know, we've all suffered the collective trauma of the Brave Little Toaster. Okay, this part didn't go through, which is not nice. That's annoying. I think it was like, isn't it? So when they're in the junkyard, that part. And then I know too, I feel like I missed that part. But the, isn't like the air conditioning unit. I don't think you realize it until you're older. I think I've seen a BuzzFeed article about it that's like, 10 childhood films that are incredibly dark. And about how the, like, air conditioning unit basically, like, unalives themselves. Because they're like, oh my god, we've been abandoned. They haven't taken us. Yeah. Yeah, the general consensus. There's another one too. I don't know. I think it's one of the Don Bluth ones. But I remember we watched it in primary school. Because I think every once in a while, it would be like, I don't know what the reasoning was, but every once in a while, the teacher would like let one of the kids in a class like bring in a movie that meant a lot to them or that they really loved, and we'd watch it in class. And I remember this one kid brought this movie in, and it was basically about like woodland animals, and that there was like, I think like a gas or something, like a toxic gas that was being released in the forest and like killing all the animals and stuff like that. And there's this really traumatic scene where like this little mouse is like about to die because they can't get like the antidote. I think there's a thing where like their whole town is like falling apart. I don't think it was Fern Gully. That is like another one where it is sort of like the savior. Yeah. But no, this one was about like a mouse. Unless I'm getting it confused. It might have been Oil. It might have been Don Bluth films. Maybe. Yeah, because it wasn't Secrets of Nim. American Tail. Oh, Rockadoodle's another one that has like some traumatic moments, I think. Is it Once Upon a Forest? Oh, it might be. So then who directed this one? Yeah. A toxic spill threatens the life of a badger. So yes, 1,000% this is what it is. How is this not a Don Bluth film? Oh, it's a Hanna-Barbera production. Yeah, 100%. That's incredible that you figured that out. Yeah. Yeah, to cure a friend that's been poisoned by chemical fumes. 1,000% that's what this movie is. No way. Okay, but yes, I remember feeling traumatized by this. Let's see. Oh, there was merchandise. You did it! Yes. Thank you, Kat. You worked it out. Yeah, a poison gas from an overturned tanker truck. She breathes in the gas and becomes really ill. Yeah, Oh, I wonder if this is available to stream anywhere. Wow. It's so interesting because I feel like there's like a whole bunch of movies that exist from like in the 90s or maybe like late 80s, 90s time period that aren't Disney Pixar or even a Don Bluth one. Like the Don Bluth, some of them are a bit more like the Don Bluth, some of them are more like B-sides, like the Troll in Central Park and stuff like that. But there's other ones that I feel like because they're not, again, either a Disney/Pixar or a Don Bluth film, they kind of just like fall out of the cultural zeitgeist. And then every once in a while you're sitting there and you're like, damn, remember that movie? Because there was actually another one I remember watching at, like, I had a woman who babysat me and my brother. And there was basically a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but it was not the Disney version. And in that one, all of the dwarves were women. They were like all little lady dwarfs. And that was one that I remember watching and really loving. And then there was So that one I don't think traumatized me. That one was cool. There was another one that was about, like, a penguin who I think, like, collected jewels or pebbles. And that was another one that had its moment. Oh, it was 82. Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't realize it was that old. That old. I mean, like, it's not of the late, you know, I thought it was more a 90s film. But yeah. And then I also remember too, because I went, and I don't know if this was on TV or something like that, but again, I remember there was another thing that, like, traumatized me, because I had a friend growing up whose family was, like, super, super Christian, to the point where I think I told you guys that for my 5th birthday, I got a picture Bible from them. That was my... Oh, Holly, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate you. Nearly as old as you. Aged like fine wine. But yeah, so I got a picture Bible for my 5th birthday from my, like, super Christian friend. But I think there was one, and I don't know if we watched the movie at his place. To be fair, he's the one I think who introduced me to VeggieTales, and even though, you know, I'm not into, like, religious propaganda, some of the VeggieTales songs slap, so that's fine. The hairbrush song's pretty good. Yes. Yeah, it was. It was. And the thing, too, is the pictures aren't even super jovial. I remember some of them being, like, really aggressive and dark because, again, there's lots of aggressive and dark things about, that are in that text. So it's kind of like, to try to create, you know, sunshine and rainbow pictures for it is, like, unrealistic. VeggieTales is, yeah, I do think VeggieTales is the best. Because isn't it, there's the hairbrush song, and then I think there's the Pirates That Don't Do Anything song. Those were the two that I remember. And so I remember I had a friend, like, again, this friend, he actually sat in front of me in elementary school in one of our classes, and sometimes when we'd have break time, he'd turn around and we'd chat to each other, and so every once in a while he'd sing the different VeggieTales songs to me, which was funny. That was in, like, the 6th grade. And then he also talked to me about, there was, like, this YA, I think, or, like, a young child Christian book series that I thought was fascinating, because, you know, I think it was called the Left Behind series, and it was basically, I think, about, like, you know, the second coming of Jesus who comes, and it's one of those, isn't it that thing where the rapture comes, and then all of the people who are, like, good little Christians end up ascending to heaven, and then everyone who isn't ends up, like, stuck in the apocalypse sort of thing. And so I guess this book series is all about these, like, kids who get left behind. And I don't actually know it, but I remember asking lots of questions of, like, okay, well, what do they have to do to, like, ascend or whatever? And what if they don't want to? Like, what are their options and stuff like that? Oh, yeah? I'm like, are you speaking from experience, Kay? Is this something that is within your zeitgeist? Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I never read the book series. I don't even know if I saw the book series, like, available at, like, my local bookstore and stuff, but I just remember him talking about it. Never got into them. Did it? Oh, interesting. It started an adult book series. And then there was a spin-off. Yeah, no. To be fair, there was one that now I'm reflecting back probably was... Yeah. There was one book series that I read, and it was like, you know how sometimes you would get those, I don't know, I guess it sort of was like fictionalized Chicken Soup for the Soul. Yeah, you grew up in the evangelical world. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry. Yeah. Speaking of evangelical, do you guys remember the show or the movie Little Rascals? And not the, like, original. I'm trying to think when the Little Rascals that I'm thinking about came out. Little Rascals. The 1994 Little Rascals. So that one, you guys remember, I loved that movie. A babysitter of mine. Actually, the religious guy's older sister babysat me a couple times. And one of the times she brought over Little Rascals. And then the second time she brought over Slappy and the Stinkers. So that one is about a group of kids who adopt a sea lion, essentially. Yeah. Yeah, I avoided the worst extremes. Oh, that's awesome. That's good. I'm glad. But yeah, that's what I was going to say. So Bug Hall, who's the main actor, the main child, is now he's like a hyper evangelical Christian now. He does, so one of the things I've been watching lately is I've been really into Christy Carlson Romano's podcast called Vulnerable. And so I think I talked to you about this so Christy Carlson Romano is the person who played Ren on Even Stevens and is the voice of Kim in Kim Possible. So she started a podcast. She has a few different podcasts, but this one's called Vulnerable. And so a lot of times what she's doing is she's talking to former child stars or people in the industry, because what she wants to do, and she's partnering with like Allison Stoner from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and stuff like that, to basically try to create legislation to help protect child performers. And they're really hoping to get to do actual studies and get statistics, because she said, as much as people, you don't want to have the trauma porn and the obsession of the downfall of the child star and stuff, but she's like, if we had statistics to back up from 1980 to 2001, this many, out of a cohort of 10,000 child actors, 70% of them developed, substance misuse issues. 60% of them ended up, with mental health concerns and stuff like that, right? Just to sort of to develop a case to be okay, even, it can be very salacious and sensationalized, but there's obviously a trend here. So that means that if there's enough of a trend, then there should be support for those things. So I find it very interesting, and that's something that I've always, found very interesting. And so I like following this podcast. And I didn't end up watching her interview with Bug Hall, but it is something that she talked about with, she did another episode where she was talking about something. Actually, I think it was, so she did a solo podcast, because what had happened was she was supposed to have Aaron Carter as a guest on her podcast, but he didn't show up. And then it was a week later was when he had passed away. So she was a bit concerned, and she's somebody who I guess has also struggled with addiction issues in the past. And so she had this kind of solo episode where she was talking about accountability and, how people navigate this sort of thing. And, people have to be in certain places and have teams and support around them in order to recognize that they maybe need support and whatever that looks like, right? And so she provided that example of I invite people on the show, not necessarily with people who have values or people who are dealing with their tumultuous relationship with childhood stardom or acting the same way I do. And so she gave the example of Bug Hall of he's come on and we've had a conversation, and his way of coping with the fact that he had gone through adverse experiences as a child star is to go down the hyper religious route. And so she's like, that is not my truth, and that's not necessarily something that I see for myself, but if that's what he needs to, live his best life, power to him sort of stuff. So that was what she had talked about. It would be interesting to maybe listen to that one, especially knowing that she's not necessarily, not condoning, but it's not something that she personally would relate to. I would be interested in how that conversation would look. But yeah, that the Goonies and Slappy and the Stinkers. I used to quote the Goonies all the time. There was what was it, Porky, and there was the two youngest ones. I think Porky and Buckwheat. Those were the two little kids. And they used to be left on their own all the time, and so they would have little songs that they would come up with and stuff. And I used to quote those all the time. And I used to quote the letter that, what is it? It's the one that Darla says about Alfalfa, but she wants to pretend that, I think she, like, writes him a love letter, or no, he writes her a love letter, and she writes one back and wants to say how cute and wonderful and adorable he is, but she doesn't want all of her girlfriends to realize that she still likes him, so then she, like, performs this monologue about how much she hates him, and so then Porky and Buckwheat relay the information. Oh no, it's the opposite. It's Alfalfa doesn't want his friends to know that he's writing a love letter to Darla. And so he writes this letter, gives it to Porky and Buckwheat to go deliver to her, and then it gets all ruined or whatever, like it gets wet or something happens so she can't read it. So then Porky's like, don't worry, or I think it was Buckwheat, is like, don't worry, I can tell you what he said. And so then he says the whole monologue about how much he hates her. And I used to quote that all the time. Let me see if I still remember. It goes, Dear Darla, I hate your stinking guts. You're scum between my toes. I think there's other bits. And then it was like, love Alfalfa. And then she gets really angry, obviously, because he called her scum between his toes. Rude. Yeah. I hate your stinking guts. Oh, no. Wasn't it? Yeah. Dear Darla, I hate your stinking guts. You make me vomit. You're scum between my toes. Love Alfalfa. I think that's all it is. But yeah. Love that movie. But I feel like there was a couple other ones there. Because again, with Slappy and the Stinkers, that was a group of kids who adopted a sea lion. I think there were other, like... there was a lot of, like, animal and, like... kid sidekick shenanigan films in the 90s, 2000s. Because I think there was another one where it was like a girl who was like a tomboy who then had like a sea lion friend. Then there was one that had like a monkey friend. And then obviously there was like the Free Willies of it all. There was a lot of like animal kid bestie movies back in the day. I don't know if there still are. Yeah, that's one of those I'm not sure of. Yeah, animals were huge. Yeah, I don't know if there's as many. I think there are, like, there's, like, more, but again, I don't know if they're, like, necessarily they're not kid movies, because there's this one, what was it, like, A Dog's Purpose, and there's that one with Channing Tatum. Recently, where he's like transporting a dog across the country. Little Giants. That one sounds familiar. I'm not sure if I ever watched that one. There was another one too that, again, the same babysitter. Oh no. Yeah, so the babysitter I used to stay with when I watched that like alternative not Alice in Wonderland, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs one. The other movie, because she was a woman who had 3 boys, so they had a lot more of like the action movies and stuff like that. So one of the ones we used to do is we used to reenact the Power Rangers movie while it was happening. So there was a group of us that were being babysat by the same woman. It was the woman's son, his friends, and then me and this girl that were all babysat together. And so we would watch the Power Rangers movie and we would reenact it while it was happening. Like we were all the Power Rangers and stuff. And I always had to be the Yellow Ranger because the other girl that was getting babysat insisted on always being Pink Ranger. And I didn't like that. I think because pink was my favorite color. So I didn't like that she always had to be Pink Ranger. And then there was a moment where she wanted to be, what's her name? Rita Repulsa. So she thought she was really cool. And so she wanted to be her instead. So for like 10 minutes I got to be the Pink Ranger, but then I think Rita Repulsa wasn't in the rest of the movie, so then she was like, well, no, I want to be Pink Ranger again, so I got demoted back to Yellow Ranger. Not that there's a hierarchy. In my brain I thought there was. Now it's like, you know. But yeah, I didn't like yellow as a color for whatever reason. I think it's because it was my best friend's color, so I was like, I can't have her color. It's weird trivial things that you decide, like that you hierarchize, that's not a word. Things you place in a hierarchy as a child. Little Giants. It's interesting. But But yeah, so in addition to the Power Rangers movie that we reenacted, he also had what is it one? The little Indian in a closet, I think was it, in the bookshelf or something like that. And so I remember you got the VHS, and when you got the VHS, it actually came with the little indigenous character with the book. Oh yeah, I've never seen Little Giants, but it stars a lot of your like faves. That's awesome. Dwayne Dunham, so the guy who directed Little Giants, has also directed a bunch of DComs. So he's pretty prolific in my zeitgeist. So he directed, yeah, I think he actually directed some of the most. So he did Little Giants, he did Homeward Bound: Incredible Journey. And then once we got into the 98, so he directed Halloween Town, The 13th Year, Ready to Run, Double Teamed, Right on Track, Tiger Cruise, and Now You See It. So he directed so many. So it makes sense that that was also, Little Giants was also cult child classic film, because he is cult child classic movie director. Yeah, what was the name of the one? Oh, it was like... Yeah, The Indian in the Cupboard. That was the name of this movie from 1995. He receives a wooden cupboard that then has this character, this indigenous person living in the cupboard. I don't know how this movie is held up. I would be very interested to know what sort of cultural stereotypes run rampant in the movie. But yeah, I just remember when you got the movie on VHS, you actually got the character as well. At least that's what my babysitter had. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's one of those where I guess, like, you would hope that there's certain movies that the foundations and, like, the morals and the retelling of the story is so universal that, like, some of the, you know, inappropriate jokes or inappropriate sort of depictions of things, not that they can be excused, but that they can be categorized as being of their time. There are certain things, though, that I think you kind of have to bury. Like, I think there are some types of media that, unless you're kind of unearthing them from, like, an anthropological, sociological perspective and doing, like, you know, the history of racist depictions of people in movies, some of them you have to keep buried, you know? Or I guess it's like, if you're not, you then have to examine things with a critical eye. I would hope that, like, if people, like, again, I'm not a parent, I would hope that if people have children and they watch kids movies from their childhood and there's some inappropriate stuff in there, I hope that they actually sit there and have a discussion with their kids and don't allow that to perpetuate. Gotta clock off now. Yes. Aw, thank you so much, Kat. I appreciate any little bit of time I get to spend with you. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Yeah, I'll be hopefully around Discord, Instagram. If I do a cheeky little stream, I will post on Instagram about it. But yeah, thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend. I care about you so much. Have a great day. Bye. I will at you specifically. Be like, Kat, listen. I promise. Pinky promise. Yeah, I always feel bad. Like, I have on Discord, I know that there are people who, like, will ping if they're live and stuff, and it'll, like, at everyone. And I don't know, I guess maybe for the announcements I should start doing that. But I forget, or I don't like to, like, feel, I don't know, it feels pushy to me sometimes. And I'm kind of like, oh, like, if you want to, like, let me know. Oh, I need to go call in. Damn. You gotta go be an adult. That sucks. Speaking of which, I have to remember, I have a chiro appointment, and I've also renewed a prescription, and so I need to make sure I pick those up on the same day. I have to write a little note to myself so I remember to do that. You reminded me, Kay. I need to be like, when you go to this appointment, make sure you also stop here. I know. It's the worst. It's the worst. It's up there with you guys needing to, like, work instead of hang out with me. It's just rude. Thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Work hard. Adult your little heart out. I'll see you later. All right. We're going to try to get down to business, guys. We're going to... I don't know if we'll finish the page, but it would be really cool if we could fill in to... Actually, maybe what we do is we do sort of like the outer perimeter. This is a good idea. If we do the outer perimeter of the rest of the page, and then we're just haphazardly filling in, so that requires less counting and brain effort, I think that this is the way forward. I think this is a good idea. One of the things that, so after we pick up my brother and his girlfriend at the airport, just to make it easier, we're gonna go straight to the grocery store so they can pick up what they want to eat and stuff, because I know that they're, like, quite particular when it comes to the kinds of foods and things that they want, and obviously knowing if you can get those things in another country, I think, can be quite difficult. So I did the same thing with my friend when she came to visit. I was like, we're gonna go to the grocery store, pick up what you want, so you know that you'll have something to eat that you want to. But the other thing I need to do is I need to pick up enough basic, I'm trying to think now. I think I need to pick up 120 gluten-free hobnobs. And so the problem with biscuit containers, or like when you buy a box of biscuits, it doesn't tell you how many biscuits are in there. It goes by weight, right? And so you sort of have to, like, feel around to see if there's enough biscuits to do the thing. Because we're doing tea and biscuits for our party favors for the reception. But I don't know, one, if these biscuits are going to fit in the bags provided. I think at least one biscuit will, but I'm hoping to be able to fit 2 in there. And the other thing is, I don't know how many boxes will be available at the grocery store. It might have to be one of those things that I slowly collect gluten-free hobnobs over the course of the next few days. I was hoping I could just go in to Tesco, basically buy the whole sleeve of boxes, and that should hopefully work. But I don't know, there's no guarantee that, I don't know, I feel like free-from sections can be hit or miss. There is also another grocery store nearby, so when in doubt, we can always go across the street. But I'm hoping that we'll have enough biscuits. I'm a little concerned about that. But I guess as well, like, while Liam's, like, working throughout the week, I can send him on a wild goose chase to collect all of the gluten-free hobnobs around all of the various grocery stores. And we'll hopefully get there. I guess the other option is I could have ordered them, but it feels kind of silly to do a grocery shop order just for hobnobs. But maybe that's okay. I feel like, I don't know, maybe people have done similar things where they're like, I just need a mass amount of this one thing. Can you please deliver it to me? we'll see. I also need to ask my parents because my parents are staying at an Airbnb, and as much as they'll probably they'll be spending most of their time here in the morning, like I'm gonna stock. I assume there's like a little mini fridge or something in the Airbnb. It's like attached to a house, so I think it's sort of like a summer house. So I don't think it'll have like a full kitchenette. It might. I'm not sure what the photos look like. I should have actually asked them to send me the pictures of the thing so I can sort of see what I'm working with. So I gotta fill that up as well with like little bits. But that should all be hunky-dory. I don't know. It's more just me like talking out loud about all the stuff that needs to happen tomorrow. Pick up the people, go to the grocery store, procure the food, and the extra consumables for the reception. Breathe. You know, be chill, and then pick up everyone else on the Sunday. Go check to see if the car has petrol in it. That's another thing I thought about. I was like, damn, what if the car is out of fuel? I don't think it's out, but if it's, you know, drive to the airport and back enough. We'll see. Again, though, I'm sure it'll be fine. There is a petrol station en route, so we can always get some while we're going. There's a coffee shop in the airport, so if they arrive before we arrive, they can wait there and have a drink. Should be good. Do you ever have that, though? Because it's kind of like I don't know, it's like a calm before the storm, and then I'm kind of like, in a way, I don't want to, because I was thinking, too, I'm like, I probably should do more laundry, but then I'm like, but then there's, like, the clothes horse in the kitchen, and it's drying, and again, that doesn't matter, but I'm kind of like, oh, I want to maximize the amount of space that we have and everything that's done. It's like, bitch, just do the laundry. It's like, why are you overthinking this? I think the biggest thing, I was thinking about this actually, and I asked Liam, and to be fair, I probably should ask my mom, or I could ask my aunt directly, but obviously my parents have met Shadow. I've talked to you guys infamously about how Shadow, like my parents are not really dog people, and then when they came to visit and stayed with us and with Shadow, my mom is obsessed with him, and then they were reflecting on, I think it's not that they don't like dogs, it's that so many of the dogs they know are not trained very well. And so it's the lack of boundaries that owners seem to have with their dogs. That's what bothers them. And so, you know, they met Shadow, and obviously we've worked really hard training him to make sure that he's not a nuisance, because he is a big black dog. And I feel like that already puts him at like a disadvantage of being judged instantly. So we don't want him to also be misbehaving on top of that. And I know that I don't know how my brother is. Well, we had a dog growing up. My brother doesn't dislike dogs. And his girlfriend is wants to be a vet. And so she likes all animals. She loves animals more than people. So she'll be fine with Shadow. I have no idea what my aunt's reception or tolerance or, you know, acceptance of dogs is. I know she loves cats. I know she is a cat person. She's been obsessed with cats her entire life, and I know that she loves cats. But I don't know if she loves all animals equally or if she's only team cats. You know what I mean? So we'll find out. They're not staying with us, so she's staying in the Airbnb with my parents. So it's not like if she's not super into like dogs that she needs to share accommodation with him. But still, I'm very interested to see her interact with him, because I genuinely don't think I've ever seen her interact with a dog before. Speaking of which, I feel like there's a little Shadow hair in here. Good enough. Cool. Hi! Yeah! Hi, Saul. How are you feeling? I know you've been taking some time to be preparing for one of your Sunday shows. When is that, by the way? Which Sunday is that? I hope you're doing well. I hope your arm is feeling better. Your hand-arm pain. I know you've had quite the sleep kerfuffle because of it. Chronic pain is no joke, man. But I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you've been able to stop by. Yeah, I hope your week's been going well. How are things? How is life? We are keeping it cozy today. Trying to get as much of the Party Phantasma done as possible. Reflecting on how I have no idea how my aunt is around dogs, so it'll be really interesting when she meets Shadow in a couple days. But yeah, other than that, we just be chilling. I'm like verbalizing all of my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Because I had a bit of a tumultuous morning, but I'm feeling much better now. So I thank you guys. I feel like, you know, having a shower, going to the forest with Shadow, doing a bit of tidying up, taking some moments to do things. It's this Sunday. Incredible. Waiting on 2 guest performances. Hand is better. Yeah. Well, because I guess that's the thing, right? It's feeling better, but you're still kind of recovering from the sort of way it disrupted your life. You know what I mean? But that's amazing. Guys, if you're not and you want to see what all of the excitement is all about, you need to go and follow this incredible human being. So you can catch his Sunday show. It's going to be awesome because his Sunday shows always are. They're always incredible. They're always high energy. There's always lots of fun shenanigans going on, and you don't want to miss it. Yeah. Is it like not being able to shut your brain off, or that because you've not been able to move around, you then like get into bed and you get like really restless legs and like really sort of fidgety and stuff? To be fair, I've not been sleeping the greatest the last few nights either. I think because 1, I'm going to bed too late, which is not good. So I'm planning to go to bed earlier tonight. And then 2, once I get into bed, I'm having a hard time shutting my brain off. Slannery, streamers like, ooh, amazing. All sorts of stories. Are they going to be like spooky? I'm just going to leave it. Spooky stories, fun stories, all kinds of stories. Is there a certain theme throughout all the stories, or are they all different? I know you have your characters are making appearances and doing some of the storytelling, which is awesome. But yeah, hopefully your guests get back to you. For me, it was a pain. Then sleep. Yes. Ooh, the vivid, unpleasant dreams is no joke. I'm really sorry that's happening. Yeah. Or even to like, even if you're able to, because I always find that even if I don't wake up from my dreams, if I have a lot of dreams over the night, I never wake up feeling restless. I never wake up feeling rested, sorry. I'm always feeling really tired because I guess I've been running around in my dreams all night, sometimes to shenanigans. I had one that I lost my friend's dog, and so that was really stressful. I don't even think, by the end of the dream, I don't think we had found him. So that was not nice to wake up to and be like, oh shit. Yeah. No. Ugh, not a fan. Do you think, are they one of those things where they feel like they're related to stuff that's going on in your like waking life, I guess? Comedy and horror, no theme. Oh, it's yes is yes. Character showing up. Old man Reg doing the rape. Ooh. Yeah, the Raven. From Unexpected People's Diaries. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's going to be so cool. I love it. The Raven. Nevermore. That's gonna be so good. Okay, let's mark off. Pure horror dreams. Really? Yeah. Oh, that sucks. Do you think you've been spending too much time in the Arkham Asylum? I know that that's one of the games you've been streaming lately. Maybe you've just been, you know, you're too in the depths of anarchy and you need some release. Yeah, if only it were that simple, eh? You're just like, yeah, too much time at Arkham. Okay, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna move down. I think the plan, like I said, is we're going to color in, like, basically do a perimeter. You're doing Portal 2. Yeah, that's true. That'll be very interesting. Which Assassin's Creed 2? What universe does that one take place in? Let me check. Oops, wrong one. Assassin's Creed. Oh my god. There we go. The series. Oh, Renaissance Italy. Oh, okay. Yeah. So maybe you start having, like, aristocratic dreams or start having dreams involving, like, gondolas and canals. That would be very interesting. And then I don't think Portal doesn't have any scary bits, does it? It's just more, like, strategy and, like, puzzly stuff. I'm aware of Portal. I just don't know. I'm not up to date on the Portal lore, if you will. Why? Why are you crying? Is it something I said? Did I say something that triggered you? I know. The thing is, I don't know if it'll actually be the 5 weeks in its entirety. It'll definitely at least be 2. Because I don't know how busy. Basically, my brother and his girlfriend are here for a week, so that week's jam-packed. My aunt is here for 2.5 weeks, so the majority of those are going to be jam-packed. And then my parents are going to be here for 5 weeks. One of those weeks, they're flying off to Italy. Patats isn't counseling already. Are you supporting each other through this tough time? So I do think that while my parents are away, I'll probably be able to sneak in. It'll just be inconsistent. But I definitely will, if I'm able to, I will announce and I will at everyone so everyone can tell and see. I already had this conversation with Kat because when I said that I was going to be doing stream an hour later, I posted it on Discord, but I forgot to, like, at everyone. So I guess Kat was waiting here for an hour and was like, what the hell, man? I've missed you. Where have you been? And I'm like, I did say I would be late, but I'm sorry. So if I do a cheeky stream, I'm going to actually at her directly to be like, listen. I know. To be fair, I'm going to miss you guys too. Cause like, this is like my routine now. This is what I do. Like, I'm quite fond of all of you, you know? So I'm still hoping that, my family will want to be involved possibly. So we might have like guest star nostalgia family cameos on the stream. Because my mom and my aunt are bringing me fabric to make the dress pattern that I bought, and I do want to stream that process because I've never made a garment before, and I think that would be a fun thing to stream together. But it's whether or not they would like to be involved in that or not. As of right now, I'm not sure. But I will do my best to convince them. Just check where are we at. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. But yeah, so that's the potential plan. But again, it's up to everyone's comfort level and what they want to do. It could be, yeah, I definitely think, I'm saying 5 because I don't know what the plan is for the whole 5, but I think it might be more like 2.5, which would be better for both of us, I think, for all of us. Because I get back in my routine, I get to hang out with you guys again, you know? Because it's a long time. One of the things I have happening, well, to make up for the lack of videos, I'm going to be backlogging my 2022 streams over on my YouTube channel, because that's where I upload all of the VODs from the stream. So this one will be live next Friday. But then after that, obviously no streams, no videos, but I want to keep traffic going over there. So I'm retroactively, it's a bit confusing though, because I'm posting them in reverse chronological order. So the beginning of a project happens before the start of a project, which I think is probably a bit confusing, but I'm gonna find another streamer next Tuesday. And yeah. Yeah. You're gonna project. I appreciate that. Commitment to the bit. That would be incredible, actually. But yeah. I'm hoping to still be around. I've noticed, like, I've gotten really bad at posting regularly on socials. Even though I still take photos. Like, I think I have, like, a month's worth of, like, nature forest mushroom photos that I've not posted. Because I just forget, or I have an idea and then I just don't do it. So I'm gonna try to be online in different capacities if they're not the streamable ones. Nostalgia cash. That would be incredible. It would be like funny money. Or like, in Canada, at Canadian Tire, you can get back Canadian Tire money. I don't even know what they call it, but basically it's paper money that you can only use at Canadian Tire. And sometimes it's not even worth very much. It'll be like, here's 50 cents in Canadian Tire money. And you're like, why does this exist? I don't even know why it happens. I'm not even quite sure how it works. But I just know that you used to get Canadian Tire money all the time. And it felt really fun and luxurious and wonderful. But it was like, you couldn't use it anywhere else. Speaking of like fake money. So the other day, Liam and I watched the Street Fighter movie. Well, I don't have to be there for you to appreciate me, you know? I don't have to be in attendance to be lauded and, fawned over. Oh, yeah, I was wondering about that, because I was assuming a lot of them were probably going onto like a digital system. Hi, Chud. Yeah, I kind of assumed that, because it's like, paper money is like a very I don't know, it's like less of a thing now, so it doesn't make sense to continue doing that with a rewards program. Yes, the old one with Kylie Minogue, because we watched the Game Grumps play the Street Fighter the movie game, and so Liam was like, oh my god, Street Fighter, this is incredible. And I was like, I've obviously never seen it, because I, grew up as, I was like a Disney kid, and also watched like a lot of cartoons, and I wouldn't be watching fighting shows and stuff. Yeah. Rain check, I'll watch the bot. Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, because if you're gonna honor me, that I'm, I need to be able to cry tears of joy and appreciation, in the privacy of my own home, not in real time. But yeah, and so finally we were like, oh, let's watch that one. And then we actually, to be fair, I do want to rewatch it because I did fall asleep for most of it. We then watched the Mortal Kombat movie because I wanted to compare, because according to like Metacritic and stuff, the Street Fighter movie is considered so much worse than the Mortal Kombat movie. And I was like, oh, I would like to compare myself. And from what I saw, even though, like I said, I was half asleep during the Mortal Kombat movie, I think I actually preferred the Street Fighter one. Yeah. Is that the one? See, the thing, I'm not going to remember the names of the actors. Is it, or the characters, sorry. Though, it was wild because I was, to be fair, there were flaws. Oh, I'm sure the sequel's even worse. But there were flaws with the, like, pacing and stuff. But yeah, Raul Julia, the guy who played, is it Bison or Bison? I think it was Bison. The bad guy. He's incredible. He's the one who plays Gomez. Yes, exactly. Yeah. He passed away, like, after the movie. So he had, like, I think he had cancer. So he had an aggressive, like, bowel cancer while he was filming the movie. And so this was actually, even though he's credited with having a role after this, the movie's dedicated in his honor, because I think he passed away before the completion of the movie. But apparently, so there were so many reasons why there was issues with this film, and one of them was because Jean-Claude Van Damme is the star, and I guess he demanded this, like, the same budget. Let me find the trivia, because it was wild. There was a few things, yeah. So he requested, like, a stupid amount of money, as his, like, payment, and I think he said, because someone, like, another famous actor at the time was making that amount of money per film, so he was like, well, that's how much I want. Let me find it. So then what had happened was the majority of the film's budget went to Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia. So then there wasn't a lot of budget left for everything, so they had to cast, like, relatively known actors and stuff. Where was it? Okay, it doesn't say who the actor was that he was comparing himself to, but basically, what did it say? Yeah, so Jean-Claude Van Damme took nearly $8 million of the film's $35 million budget. Oh, really? That's funny. But yeah, so $8 million went to Jean-Claude Van Damme, and then the rest of the casting budget was for Raul Julia. And so yeah, they had to just get, like, relatively random ones. And then I guess too, the stunt coordinator that they had. Oh, were you just messing? See, you always do this. You're always so convincing. You're like, oh, this was a thing. And I'm like, I wholeheartedly believe you. You know that about me. I take what you say as gospel, Saul. But yeah, and so I guess the stunt coordinator that they got, he was used to obviously stunt coordinating. And then the director was like, but all of these characters in the video game have a different type of fighting specialization. And I think the stunt coordinator only worked on a specific type of style. And then also because they wanted it to have those video game moments, they really butted heads because he was like, no, I'm trying to teach them like traditional fighting techniques. And the director was like, well, no, you have to kind of make it campy and make it more video game-like. And so I think they really, really butted heads with that. But the other thing too, it's sort of like a bittersweet thing, because one of the things they said, because there was so much, we're doing Street Fighter, I mean, yes. Yeah, I think, you know what it was? It's because they filmed in Australia, so part of the thing is that they wanted to have, like, an actual Australian actor. But yeah, so let me read this. It's absolutely batshit. So this movie was, like, rife with issues. Later, this kind of makes sense. So, okay, Jean-Claude Van Damme revealed later that during the filming of Street Fighter, he had a drug problem where he was doing $10,000 worth of cocaine a week, and he had an affair with Kylie Minogue. And the director said that Van Damme's drug addiction was causing so much disruption during filming. The studio had to hire a wrangler to keep an eye on Van Damme, but the person apparently was a bad influence himself. The action star would often call in sick, leave set, show up late or not at all, forcing the director to find other scenes to film to make up for lost time. Yeah, apparently he was really bad to work with because he had a combination of like a huge professional ego and the substance abuse issues. But apparently everyone loved Kylie Minogue and praised her for her professionalism and generosity. Same with Raul Julia. So it's interesting that he was such a pain in the ass to work with and she was so lovely, and then they ended up having an affair. But, you know, in a sort of bittersweet way, Jean-Claude Van Damme found out later on in life that he actually was, he had an undiagnosed bipolar disorder. And so things like excessive drug use, erratic behavior could be that he was going through manic episodes. And so a lot of that was him not having an undiagnosed mental illness. And so in a way, like, it sounds like a salacious Hollywood headline, but then it sort of has this bittersweet situation where it's like, oh no, he was just unwell. And that's why all of this tumultuous stuff was happening with him. And then I guess later on, once he got his diagnosis and he sort of figured out what was going on and he's like managing himself with like medication and things like that, he actually remarried his like second wife. And I think she's the one who might have been when that like downfall sort of happened. So I think he was married like 4 times, but the 4th time was actually remarried to somebody. So once he was able to sort of like, you know, get his mental illness, his disorder managed, and was able to take care of himself, then he was able to rekindle a romance, who, you know, maybe could be seen as the love of his life, which I think is really cool that he had a second chance to make that work with her. Like a snake wrangler, just imagining with a long stick. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some could say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh, definitely. I do think addiction in and of itself is classified as a mental illness. Yeah, I think that's true. I also think too that there's a thing called like comorbidity. And so what that means is like sometimes what'll happen is you will have one situation, like one disorder, one mental health issue, and then it actually increases your chance of having compounding mental health issues or neurological or different things like that. So yeah, there is like correlations and stuff with those things. But yeah, it is really interesting. So it's one of those where it is like a sort of bittersweet, chaotic story. But that partially explains why the Street Fighter budget couldn't make the flow line of the story better, because they had to, you know, divvy out. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I would bet money that people who are dealing with addiction will, like, I would bet money that people who deal with addiction would have another mental health or mental illness situation. You know what I mean? That needs treatment in addition to that. Good evening, Probacus. How you doing? How was the movie? You went to a movie last night. How was it? The one with Russell Crowe? What's the report? What would you rate it out of 10? If you could rate the film, the viewing experience, what would you give it? Movie was 7 out of 10. Not bad, not bad. It passes. It passes. Very good, very good. The favorite has returned home, so Shadow is very excited. He was full on snoring like 2 seconds ago. Not amazing, but it's an easy one-time watch. Yeah, so it's one of those where you wouldn't go see it again, but for what it was in the moment, it was decent. Maybe a 6.5. Not bad. Still not bad. Hey man, I've watched real cringy films. But sometimes too, like I said, in the instance of like the Street Fighter film, sometimes movies are so bad they're good. Like you almost watch them for the cringy batshit craziness of them. And sometimes that's the rewatchability factor, is like you have to rewatch it because you're like, this is so bad. To believe it fills a hole. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely, that's what I think. Definitely. Because I do think at the end of the day, it is a coping strategy. It's what I've been taught is called like a maladaptive coping strategy. So it works for a while, but then, you know, it then impacts and impedes on other things. It was The Pope's Exorcist. That is the one that Probacus went to see yesterday. I couldn't remember the name, which is why I didn't refer to it, but 100% that is what yes. My memory has now been jogged. That is exactly the movie he went to go see. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let me just, okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And then, again, you'll get yours monthly. Wait, do you want to see it? Oh, yeah. Oh, he has a little scooter. Interesting. Let me see. I don't know. Again, the only movie but besides, I don't know, the only movies that I have seen advertised lately, because again, I don't watch like traditional TV, is what I get on YouTube videos, which is like, you know, the ads before things. So obviously all of that's algorithm based. So I've only really seen adverts for the Mario movie and for the Barbie movie. So I actually don't know what other films are out there. Let's read the synopsis of The Pope's Exorcist. Oops. The Pope's Exorcist. Following Gabriel Amorth, the Vatican's leading exorcist, as he investigates the possession of a child and uncovers a conspiracy the Vatican has tried to keep secret. Interesting. It's got a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb and a 45 Metacritic score, which is very average. It's a very average. I'm prepared to watch a drama. Yes. Yeah. Is it going to be a wild ride? Makes a change to hear a movie coming out that isn't kids. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. I'm sure there are tons. But again, I just... Sometimes, too, it's probably, like, I know for me, like, I really like sort of indie, lower budget films. Those are more art house. Those are more dramas. Those are more, like, less CGI, less whatever. But obviously, with indie films and indie production houses come smaller advertising budgets. So you kind of have to, like, know where to look, I think, to get those things. Julius Avery is the director. He's directed things that I've never heard of before. They look like they're more like horror films. Again, I don't gravitate towards them. It's interesting, though, that Russell Crowe is... Yeah. Oh, interesting. So the first trivia on this, maybe that sounds like the scooter thing, is it says Russell Crowe came up with the idea of Gabriel Amorth riding a Lambretta. He was inspired by seeing priests driving through Rome on Lambrettas and wanted to include it in the film. I assume that's the scooter you're talking about, Saul. Let me look this up. What is a Lambretta? Lambretta. Images. Oh yeah, it's like a Vespa. Interesting. It's like a Vespa. Cool. I like that. Oh, see, I used to... Oh, is it? That's cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Lambretta's cool. See, a Lambretta then reminds me of Vespas, and Vespas remind me of Lizzie McGuire. So that's where my reference point to those sorts of vehicles comes from, is Disney Channel. Yeah. Again, at 60, 70-ish. That's awesome. Yeah. Because that's the thing too, though, because I know IMDb, their rating is user generated. So the other reason too why I might have a lower rating is because not enough people have reviewed it yet. And then Rotten Tomatoes, obviously they have their critic score and then they have their user score, and so sometimes they're different, sometimes they're very similar. Sometimes there'll be movies that are like critically applauded, and they'll have like on Rotten Tomatoes there'll be like a critic's review of like 80%, and then the like public review will be like 40, or sometimes the opposite, where it'll be critically panned, they think it's terrible, and then it'll be a cult classic and users are like, no, this is a 90% movie. So it all depends, eh? The user rating is... That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. He did Overload a few years back. Yeah, I saw that on his like notable works. Again, yeah, it's like a half. Yeah. Okay, how many of these do we need? Oops. So we have to do, I think it's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cool. Okay. Oops. 1. Two. The Ashens and the Polybus Heist has 100% Rotten Tomatoes. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. 1, 2, 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. Okay, so this is, so where the stitches are here, this is actually the bottom of the first page. So I'm basically just gonna like cut across here, pop up here, and then we know that all we're doing is filling this in. Funny things about this movie is, oh, is there? Yeah. Oh, I love a pun. You guys know I love puns. A horror movie with puns, that I feel like that would lighten the horror, like it would make it more palatable for me. Speaking of which, got a ticket to see Adrian Edmondson live in October. Oh. Who is this person? That's awesome. Adrian Edmondson. I know you're really into like wrestling and stuff, so my instinct is that this is a wrestler, but maybe not. Adrian. Oh, he's a British comedian. See again. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Adrian, he looks familiar to me. The only way I would recognize him is if he was on, like, panel shows. And I assume he's probably been on the panel shows and stuff, right? Or, yeah. Interesting. Oh, he was on Celebrity MasterChef and EastEnders. He played Scrooge in the current run of Royal Shakespeare Company's adaptation of A Christmas Carol in 2022. The man has range. Wowie, wowie. Very cool. That's awesome. Celebrity Mastermind, Hell's Kitchen. Yeah, none of the things that I recognize. But then again, like I said, I'm not well versed in specifically British content. Seriously, on One's in This Comedy with Rick Mayhale. Another name that I recognize. That's really cool. Oh, and you're gonna get to go see him? That's amazing. That's gonna be incredible. So he's probably gonna like talk about his book and then maybe do like a little set and then you're gonna get to meet. That's gonna be awesome. Oh, I'm so excited for you. Where is that happening? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Let's now. Hi, Shadow. Oops. How you doing? Something has happened here. We have a knot. That is not good. There we go. Fixed it. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait. No, I gotta do that one. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, so now we get to just half stitch all the way across this until we get to the other part. And then that'll be awesome because then all we're doing is just blindly filling in and it requires less brain space. Yeah, from this book, which is amazing. Okay. That's where the Muffin Man lives. Did you know? He lives on Drury Lane. Sorry. See, now I'm just thinking about Shrek. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. He lives on Drury Lane? But yeah, that's gonna be really cool. The Gillian, that, I feel like, I'm Googling. Gillian Lynn Theater. Oh no, this isn't what I thought it was. That's awesome. Wow, it's like a proper theater. He must be doing like a special. That's so cool. Not from Covent Garden. Excellent. And then afterwards, he invites you to his place to make cinnamon rolls and calls it a Rickroll. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around and hurt you. You know he's still making music? Like, Rick Astley has aged like fine wine. He is just out there living his best life now. Maybe that's why it sounds familiar to me. Because, like, that's, of the places in London I go, Covent Garden is sort of, like, the area I am most familiar with, and by most I mean like the tiniest bit. Okay, I am determined to close the gap. The final push, you guys. We got like 10 minutes left. We're gonna close the gap. If I can actually make these full stitches too, that would be incredible. Quickly. Ah, we've popped 2 peelies. Like I told you guys, we used the peel off base coat for the nails when we painted them on Tuesday. Just because I knew that I eventually would be painting them again for next week. So I didn't want to, but I wanted them to last a little bit longer. So we've got 2, unfortunate. So now I'm just gonna nail oil the crap out of them to hope that they don't break before I go to repaint them. I'm not worried about the thumbnail. The thumbnail is pretty sturdy. I just always find when I do break my nails, it's usually the middle fingers. I guess because they're the closest point. They're the first point of contact when like I smack my hand on something. So I'm hoping, like I said, I'm applying nail oil because if you put nail oil on it, it helps make it so they're not, like they have a little bit more like bounce to them, I guess, so that if you do hit them, they're less likely to full on break. You might get like a fracture, but it's like there's a little bit more, I don't know. So yeah, so I'm a bit nervy about that, but yeah, we've already popped 2. That's what they're called. It's called Pop a Peely, but that's fine. It'll be okay. I'm curious. Usually what happens is it's usually the pinkies that are like the last nail standing, or the ring fingers. It's usually the bottom, like these guys here, they get less wear and tear than these ones, which makes sense when you think about it. But we'll see. I'm interested to see which nail is the last one. The last nail standing. Because even this one, this ring finger is like, has a little chip in it. So it won't be long before we get another one. I don't know if we have enough. We're not going to win this game of thread chicken, so maybe we just, again, half stitch. We'll try our best though. Oh, now I'm thinking about foods. I don't know what I want for dinner. I've actually not had it. You know what? One of the best things, it's like this like kind of tradition that anytime Liam and I travel somewhere via plane, we always bring back Toblerones. And usually you can get those like giant Toblerones, and I find like one piece of those giant Toblerones is like the perfect evening snack. You have your like cup of tea or cup of coffee or whatever, like decafs, and it's like bitter something to cut off the sweetness, and that one chunk of the big one is like the perfect amount. Now, he brought back those ones, but they're like variety packs, so they're packs of regular size ones, but like I have this one here. And it's a fruit and nut Toblerone, So there's like different flavors of Toblerones and like different things. So I thought that there was, you know, your traditional, and then you obviously have your dark and your milk chocolate, but I didn't know that they had a fruit nut version, and they also have like a crispy almond version, which is really nice. But the thing is with these ones is if it's almost like if you have, one is not enough. I think 2 doesn't feel like enough, but 3 feels like too many. You almost need like 2.5. It's like 2.5 of this to feel like you're satiated, or 1 piece from the massive Toblerone. That's my hot tip, guys. If you want a little, I've not done the calorie counting, but I just feel for me personally, if I want a little sweet treat in the evening, I feel satiated by 1 large chunk of the big Toblerone. And then this one, it's fewer pieces. But yeah, fruit and nut's not bad. I don't mind fruit and nut. I know that that's like a dairy milk. That's like a standard chocolate flavor now. I think it always has been, but it's not one that I gravitate towards, but I don't hate it. I'm not mad about it. Oh, both my parents and my brother have asked, you know, if they need to bring any Canadian snacks and treats when they come over. And I've told you guys about the saga. So again, boxes of maple cookies are going to be made available to Liam's family in the next couple days, which they're going to be very excited about. But I also asked my mom to bring me some dill pickle chips. Even though I don't know, I feel like, yeah, the novelty of that. So I'm looking forward to, because again, usually I'm more of a salty snack person than a sweet snack person. So I'm looking forward to some classic dill pickle chips. Though we'll see if they survive the journey. They might be like dill pickle crumble by the time they get to us. I think last time though, my parents brought a few bags of chips, crisps last time, and they managed to hold up. So I'm feeling confident. I feel optimistic that they will arrive in a decent capacity. I think they shrink. I think like the cabin pressure in the luggage like deflates the chip bag. So it's always very interesting, which is good though, because then I feel like it makes them more, it's easier to pack, I guess. Okay, going back in. So yeah, so you can see here, so this is the whole first page. So we just have to fill this section in, and then the first page is done. I don't know when we'll get to this. Obviously, when we next see each other, I'm not quite sure what we're going to be doing on the stream. Like I said, I have plans to make sew clothing for the first time. We have a couple weddings that we're going to, so I want to make my own dress for that. So that'll be exciting. So I'm hoping to stream that. Yeah, we have this here. The other thing I'm really interested in doing is needle felting different mushrooms. So I have like a mushroom identification booklet. And I think it'd be really cool to get some like live edge wooden discs and then needle felt little mushrooms on them. So we're planning some more, you know, fungus inspired cottagecore whimsical crafting times. That is also on my to make list. I know we've not finished Strange Horticulture. At some point we'll get to it. I'm hoping I don't completely lose the plot. I'll have to maybe rewatch one of my streams so I can be like, oh yeah, that's what this works like. Sounds fun, Gus. Love me a pun. It does, it does. But yeah, and then again, hopefully, I do want to finish this at some point. It would be nice. Maybe I'll actually like work a little bit on it off stream. Maybe I can finish the page off stream and then we'll actually be able to start something new. It feels so right to be here with you. Whoa. But yeah, so then that way maybe, you know, the end will feel a little nearer. It's so funny for such words. For such a small cross stitch in terms of the size, it is so many stitches. Let's go in. Let's see, info. We've completed 10.4% of this project, which is wild. Apparently we have done 87 stitches today. We've done more. I've not marked these ones off yet, but like that's just the current state. But yeah, so clearly we have a long way to go. This is literally half of, like, a quarter of her body. This is a quarter of her, and it's only 10%. Wild. Absolutely wild. If anyone has any raid suggestions, let me know. We'll go raid. If not, we'll see which of our friends is currently online, and we'll go and say hello to them. Thank you guys so much for, one, being patient with me as I started streaming a little bit later today, and just for hanging out and having a good time, keeping it nice and cozy and chill, talking about, you know, nostalgic movies. Anytime we get to put some nostalgia into the conversation, obviously, as the name suggests, I'm a happy chappy. So, and I appreciate that. You know, like I said, I had a really rough start to the morning, but I'm feeling much better now, and hanging out with you guys also really helped. So, I appreciate you very much. And yeah, like I said, I'm thinking it will not be 5 weeks before we see each other again. But again, I don't know what that will look like. It'll be a bit more few and far between in and amongst those 5 weeks. But obviously, if I am able to stream, I will post it on the Discord if you are in there. If not, usually I'm the most active on Instagram, and so I will post like a schedule or like an announcement in my story that we're going to be going live the following day or whatever. So that is the plan. That is the goal. Like I said, there's so many options, so many crafts, so much to do, so little time. But yeah, let's go see who is online. Let's go find a friend, and then we'll hang out. I'll keep doing this. Again, Twitch doesn't like when 2 things are open at once. It's gonna take a minute. So we're gonna go. Oh, I think Libby is online. We've not gone to see her in a while. She usually does stained glass and I want to say pastels, but then she forayed into needle felting. She joined the stabby craft side of the internet, which is very exciting. Let's see who else is available for us to raid them. We have Satchel Max, Rabbit, Corn Husk, Pop Tart, Dragon Rider, LL Coolib, Art and Jest. Yeah, let's go and see LL Coolib. We'll go and see, I don't know when they started streaming, so we'll check to make sure they're not raiding out so we don't do a raid train. But if not, we'll go and see. She is currently foiling. She is stained glassing, and it looks wunderbar. So let's go do that. Here is the raid message. I also need to copy that. Let's go and see her. And again, guys, thank you so much for hanging out today. I will keep you posted if there are any streams in the next 5 weeks, but if not, I will see you once I get back from Canadian family visit shenanigans. But yeah, it should be good. Like I said, I'll try to be more vocal on the socials, so I won't completely just disappear off the face of the internet, but you know, I'm around. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have an amazing weekend and a great rest of your day. Bye!